move on to 8C, consideration of review of the plans and specifications as prepared by CRW Architecture for the renovation and remodeling of the former liquor store into use as a City Hall Council Chamber. USDA has reviewed the final plans and specifications and has approved loan funding of $200,000, with remaining costs to be responsibility of the city. Upon approval, the city may authorize advertisements for bid and set a timeline for the process with the project architect to comply with USDA requirements. See attached.
Your Honor, this is just a housekeeping item as we went back through all the various motions and decisions that were made to get us to this point. Kathy realized we hadn't actually had an authorization to proceed to bid. So we're just asking for final authority to go to bid so we can get the numbers and then make a final decision on whether we're going to go forward with the project or not. Good catch, Kathy.
Well, you approved option A, and then you said to them, go
forward,
prepare
yeah.
plans and specs and bring them back.
Yep.
And that was way last April, so.
I move to give the procedure to go for bid.
Recommend authorization by council to proceed bidding project as outlined above. Got a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Dahl, second by Mr. Hansi. Any more questions or otherwise?
This is just authorizing bids.
Yep.
Bids.
Yep.
Yep. Never know what we got, so we put it out there.
Anybody else?
Are there extra architect fees, or is that included? We haven't paid for this yet from him.
Right.
To do the bid process, we haven't paid for that yet.
It's included in his budget.
In the financing budget.
Yep.
Anybody else? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That was an aye, Roger? All opposed? None opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Let's move on to 8D. Chief, would you care to join us?
Sure.
8D, consideration of entering into an agreement with the City of Rushford Village to provide police services consisting of responding to calls as directed to the Fillmore County Sheriff's Office, with CRV compensating the city on an hourly basis. See attached staff report and proposed contract for services.
And you have an update.
Updated contracts. So
Apologize for that, but we finally heard back from the league late Thursday after I'd gotten the agenda out to you. And we've been forced to go back and forth several times on the final paragraph under indemnification. The village attorney was looking at this more like it was a joint powers agreement, and it's not. This is a strict contractual relationship between the two cities. So a lot of the language that we had in that other version, as you can see, was cut out because it's not required under this under the arrangement that we have. I think we've had 3 or 4 meetings with the mayor from the village, with the city council over there. We've talked to, had a joint meeting with the sheriff that our mayor was at as well, to talk about different downfalls and pitfalls and things we wanted to make sure we wanted to cover in the contract, and they're in here. Our main concerns, the village's main concerns. So I guess if the council has any questions about how this is going to be carried out.
What were the village's major concerns?
Their main concern was that we weren't going to patrol.
A regular patrol.
We were not going to patrol their city. We would respond only to calls from the sheriff's office, dispatched calls.
Like emergency stuff.
Right. So if someone were to call or go down to the police station and they were from the village, we politely tell them that that's not what they're paying for. So.
how And our big concern was when we build them, they are not going to haggle, they're going to pay it.
Good.
Right.
And the scenario, you're pursuing a speeder and you end up in the village. They're all gonna be okay with that?
That's what's happened in the past. I mean, if it goes north, you go into a township. If it goes west, you go into the city, Rushford Village. You go south, you go into the village. And, if something happens here in town, where by law you can actually go into another jurisdiction and continue what you're doing, so to finish that.
But if
And
you
they
initiate
understand
it,
that.
Yes.
Okay.
if you initiate a chase in town here, you're not going to be, are you charging once you cross into
No.
the village?
No, that would have been something that started in
That's why I
Rushford.
say, yeah, it started here, so this is,
And vice versa, if you happen to answer a call out there and they flew, and they were
they've
starting
into
to flee,
Rushford.
Right.
but they would be on the clock.
Okay.
Our intention is to not get involved with too many arrests in the village, not get involved in investigation. We would hand that off to the sheriffs, and the sheriff was very clear about that. And that's what the village would like us to do as often as possible. However, if in the actions that are taken, we end up having to go to court or end up having to do some sort of investigation, there's language in here to make sure that we get compensated for that.
Will there be a separate time log kept that doesn't have any confidential information on it or anything, just to verify, or
It's
I mean,
not-
you'll have obviously you'll have your
Right now,
police
what I-
records behind you, but
What I do now is, we have a major ICR list. You have to, excuse me, I'm gonna lose my voice probably. For the city of Rushford. So if it's something major, we can, in our squad, we can just pull up an ICR number for that incident. For minor things, Kathy will assign us an ICR, but, whenever we're sent to the village, thank you. Whenever we're sent to the village or someplace else, we have a separate ICR list for major offenses and stuff like that, so we grab an ICR number from there. We have a form that I've made for agency assist type thing, and it has, start time, end time, duration. And even if we are sent to those emergency calls, and mainly, the way I understood it is they just want us to hold the fort down until the sheriff's office gets
Correct.
there. Well, while we're there, we see things, we hear things, people say stuff and do stuff. We'll probably have to document that in a supplemental report, so, there'll be some report writing and stuff also.
Go ahead, Robert.
Oh, I was gonna ask, are they liable to pay for that?
Yes.
Okay.
If there's bad weather, call for a rollover gets called in South Rushford, is that something that is going, if you're holding the fort down till the county or state patrol gets there, is that billable, or is that a billable thing?
I'm assuming that is,
Yes.
Cause it's dispatch.
If they're dispatched
Okay.
for a cat in a tree, then we're gonna respond and they're gonna get billed for it. If they have an issue with that, they should take it up with the sheriff and tell their dispatcher, okay, cats and trees, don't call the Rushford Police Department. So,
call the firemen.
the other question we have concern is that, is this second guessing. You shouldn't have gone on that call, you shouldn't have gone on this call. You were in town on a call, you got paged out, and you didn't come to our call. All that language is in here to cover us. And I think we have a clear understanding with them. Now, we may find out 6 months from now that that clear understanding is gone, and we both decide that there's language in there to part ways. We just think that, we're not getting called out very often. But when we do, we think it's fair that the taxpayers get compensated for that.
I think part of Mark's question was,
No, go.
what if the state patrol comes out and covers?
Then we would leave and our billing time would be done.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
And then